The cost of pizza night got you down? Let's make some delicious pizza at home for a fraction of the cost and without a ton of work. I'll show you how to make a simple, no-knead pizza dough using stretch and folds to get a light, airy crust with minimal effort. This pizza comes together without any fancy equipment, it's budget-friendly, easy to make ahead, and tastes great. Let's get started. Hi friend, come on in. It's pizza night, and we like to do pizza night on the cheap, meaning we're making our own pizza. I am weighing everything out, but feel free to just use cup measurements. I will have them down in the show notes below. I start with 500 grams of flour. I just use an all-purpose flour. We like a soft crust, and this gives a really nice soft crust without too much bite. Feel free to use a stronger flour if you prefer more bite to your crust. And if you count the water, it's 4 ingredients. I've got my flour. I'm going to add some yeast. I keep my yeast in the freezer just to keep it as active as I possibly can, mostly because we don't go through it very often. I will need 1 teaspoon of the yeast and half a teaspoon of salt. Then I need water. You can weigh out your water or measure out your water however you want, or you can weigh it directly into the bowl. It just depends how comfortable you are doing that. 355 grams of water is equal to 355 ml. I sometimes go a little over on the water because this is a no-knead. It works slightly better if it's a little wetter. We're going to mix this up to a shaggy dough and let it sit. The power in this recipe is using time to your advantage. If you have the time to let it sit, you're going to get a nice, soft, pillowy dough. This is a really good make-ahead dough because if you can let it sit in the fridge for like 24 to 48 hours, you get a really good flavor out of it. I normally do this the morning of, and then I just let it sit in the fridge all day, and it's ready for dinner. I have let it go overnight to make the pizza the next day. It really just depends on what your schedule is like and what kind of turnaround time you want to do. It should look like this after mixing. It's going to be a really shaggy dough. It might have a few slightly wetter spots, slightly drier spots. That's okay. I wasn't sure I really liked this Danish dough whisk at first. It can be hard to clean. Dough gets stuck in it, and you definitely have to clean it right away. I have since come to really like it. Now that my dough is mixed up, I'm going to get this covered with a wet towel and let it sit for 10 minutes. I am going to perform a series of stretch and folds on this, and that is where it will become a lot smoother. As I go through and do these stretch and folds, you will see that the dough will start to get smoother and really come together into a nice dough. If you've never done a stretch and fold, you just want to reach under and just pull the dough as far as it'll go. It doesn't always pull very far, but just do the best you can. You can see that it is getting a lot smoother. It's got some elasticity to it because we're developing the gluten. Using wet hands does make it a little easier. Look at how the dough has changed just in these 10 minutes. As I work through the stretch and folds, this will help smooth out the dough, work the gluten, and help bring it together. Ideally, try to do at least 2 sets of stretch and folds about 10 minutes apart. I like to do 4, but it does take a little bit of time. If you're short on time, definitely do the 2. You don't have to round it in a ball like I do. I just like to do that. But it does help smooth it out. And this is the last stretch and fold. It is nice and smooth. This is one of the reasons why I like to do 4. It makes for a nice smooth dough with lots of gluten development, but it does take longer. This needs to sit out at room temperature for about an hour. I want to give the dough a chance to double, and then I can put it in the fridge until I need it. It has been an hour and this has doubled. I'm going to press this down. Your options at this point include using it immediately, letting it rest in the fridge for a few hours, up to 48 hours, or even freezing it. This is a great make-ahead economical option. If you're loving these tips and want to learn even more ways to make cooking easier and more fun, subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more recipes and tricks coming your way. It has risen nicely in the fridge. It doesn't normally rise this much in the fridge, but my fridge is on the warm side. I am going to loosen this up from the sides. It is about an hour and a half to 2 hours before I want to eat dinner. Now is the time to get this shaped and on the pan. If you don't have a pizza pan, a cookie sheet works just as well. Or alternatively, this is enough dough to make 2 to 3 pizzas. We make a really thick style pizza, but you could do this on a pizza peel. If you've got a pizza peel and a pizza stone, go ahead and do it that way. Divide it up into 2 or 3 smaller pizzas. It also depends on what style of pizza you like. If you like a thinner crust, you could roll this out more. When the dough is fresh from the fridge like mine is, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a fight to get it to spread out. Just leave it for a few minutes and it will relax a little bit. And then you can continue gently tugging on it. Or you could keep pulling gently and try to get it to reach the edges. It will eventually get there. It's a little more work if you want to try to do it sooner rather than just letting it sit. I normally like to pull it out a little bit, give it a few minutes while I go track down something to cover it with, like saran wrap, and then I will tug it a little bit more. This will need to sit at room temperature for about an hour or at least 45 minutes, just until it starts puffing up a little. I wanted to show you what the pizza looks like. I hope you can see how puffy it's gotten. This is going to go into the oven at 350 for 10 minutes. We like ours to have a softer crust around the edges, so we use a lower temperature. By all means, adjust the temperature to whatever you desire. It also will depend on how thick your pizza is. Because I have a really thick crust pizza, I'm going to par bake this for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to put my toppings on. That way I can ensure that the top crust is completely cooked and it's not going to be like raw or soggy. This is what it looks like par baked. Again, if you want, you could freeze the crust at this point and use it later. It's mostly cooked, just very pale. Do make sure it is cooked through before cooling and freezing. This will be a good starting point for adding all of the toppings on and doing the final cook. I am just putting on some marinara sauce. We're doing pasta night tomorrow night. Just roll those leftovers into the next meal. Now, obviously, toppings are personal preference. Put on whatever you have that you like. I would suggest that if you are going to put on stuff that takes a long time to cook, it might be worth pre-cooking them first, and that will help ensure that they are fully cooked in the oven. I have some chicken here with some barbecue sauce on it. I'm going to spread this around on most of the pizza. I don't know if you can see, the crust really puffed up in the oven. This is definitely a very thick crust pizza. Like I said, this could be split into 2 thinner crust pizzas and get a lot more meal out of it than what I am currently doing. We just like a really thick crust. Now that I have this covered in toppings, this will go back in the oven for however long it takes for the cheese to get bubbly and melty and get a little bit of browning around the edges. It will vary by temperature, how many toppings you put on, how thick you put your toppings on, lots of factors, but it should take about 18 to 20 minutes. This is how the pizza turned out after about 18 minutes in the oven. I just want to show you that it's got a very thick crust, but it's really going to depend on how thick you roll it out. It's cooked all the way through. Like I said, it's a softer crust. It's not a really hard, crispy crust, but just depends on how you cook it. Let me know in the show notes below what's your favorite pizza topping. If you're looking for a way to use up some of this marinara sauce, check out my easy, oven-friendly chicken parm method, and thanks for watching.